Okay. Lunch break over. And back. I was going to just go straight into Baldur's Gate, but then I thought, you know what? I'm on a roll. Let's get some painting done. On a roll being I'm getting painting done. It's like, I don't know. It's not like I've got a ton of painting done, but I got something done. So let's keep pushing away at it. Um, and what I am going to go get fresh water. Why not? I'm here for a moment. All right. I'm cold, but I keep turning on my heater and then I'm hot. And then the heat doesn't go away. If I get hot wearing this, I could just throw it off. All right. Let's see here. Back to trying to figure out best way. Man, what is with the sneezing today? Let's continue to work. Let's work her hair a little bit. Um, thing is, I got a little gray. It's all right. I mean, it's a little gray in there, but my white is not pure white anymore, which is probably good in the sense that it's really wet. My palette is really wet. It's both good and probably not good. And I need to make sure that I'm not so wet that I'm going to be dropping white where I don't want it. I am going for significantly white hair. And being able to do that while not totally messing up my other, getting the gray color underneath. So I'm basically not putting, I don't want to put shading on her hair. And that's because white will get really toned down if I do that. I end up having to go over the white again anyway. So hey, Samcob, how you doing? Yep. Hey, I actually came back. I know there's been times in the past where I said, "Oh, I'm gonna take a quick break," and then I don't come back. Well, I do, but I come back way. It's not quick. This is probably pretty close to what I said. I said about 30 minutes. I think I was close-ish. So, what you up to, Kazam Club? What's the latest with you? Getting getting a lot of work in. Getting some good work weekend break. On a bust, huh? Yeah, like a mini bust, like one of the little 70 scale 75 type busts, or something bigger. Now, I don't know that I could ever do a bust. I am I have seen some amazing work out there. There's some people who've done some busts that just look like the person, whoever, or the person or the thing, or some very real skin. The inflections that they put on the skin, right down to the cellular level. That is just whoa. That is so far beyond what I'm lucky if I can get these microscopic faces not look like the eyes are wigging out. But I am impressed by people who take on doing busts. There are some super talented folks out there in that, and I am impressed by your effort. There's so much more realism in a bust. 75 millimeter is pretty decently big. Yeah, it's scale 75. They do a lot of those busts. That's kind of their thing. So if it looks about the size, see if you ever look at scale 75 stuff, if you ever just look at them, compare your bust to theirs, you'll know pretty close. I mean, that's what they do. But remember, scale, depending on what it is, like if it's a monster, scale 75 could actually be bigger, right? Because theoretically, it's just what it would be if, 75 times 75, but times bigger. Is that right? So, no, 25 millimeter scale 75 is like 1/75th. Is that right? It's like 25 millimeter scale is if everything was shrank down to a human being 25 millimeters. So if it's a 75 millimeter scale monster, a human at that scale, the monster could be way bigger if he's bigger. So it could be bigger. Simply if they're truly, if it's proportional scale. A woman's fist. My wife's hands are pretty small, but yeah, that's pretty big. That is pretty big. That might be more than 75. I mean, of course, what do I know about how that works? Is it a human? Or is it a creature of some kind? Oh, a troll. Okay. So, if it is truly scale, if they're when they say scale 75 or something's at a 75 millimeter scale, now a 75 millimeter base is about this big a base. Okay, so this base I think is probably 75 millimeter base. So, because it won't. Actually, Actually, this is 65 millimeters, so this is actually a little smaller. This is the yeah, it's close. 60. It might be 70 millimeter. I don't know. Because this won't actually fit inside of the X case. The X case is 65 millimeters, but this goes right up, and this would be like 5 millimeters longer. So it's probably more like a 70 millimeter base. Um, but remember, if it's by scale, just like I was talking about this earlier. Did you see? Did you see the? You weren't here, I don't think, when I got out my Hydra. Now, this guy, this guy is 19 millimeter scale. Okay, this is 19 millimeter scale. This guy. So obviously he's not 19 millimeters in size, but he is 19 millimeter scale, which simply means that a human at 19 millimeters would be. This is how big this monster is compared to a 19 millimeter human. So this guy is from Joan of Arc, the Joan of Arc game, and he's the biggest figure. I think that game has. It might there might have been another one. I didn't get everything from Joan of Arc, but when I did, uh, so I got all these little 19 millimeter humans. They're soldiers and whatever the heck, but they're really tiny on 19 millimeter bases, and so I could probably fit 30 or 40 of them around this guy's base. So this guy would be a monster. I mean, it's just huge. So scale is so for a troll is bigger than a human. So it isn't unlikely that he might be bigger than a 75 millimeter scale human, right? So it's possible it's larger. But based on the size, what you said, I'd say it's probably pretty close to 75 millimeters. That's simply being, that base I gave you is 75 mil, or showed a minute ago was 70 millimeters. But hey, feel free to post it on my Discord, and I'll take a look. I know I don't always get to it right when I'm streaming, but I do go to my Discord, and I will check it out. Do you ever follow any of the the groups like Facebook or anything where people will talk about their show their work in progress and stuff? I'm on those, and I always forget to take pictures and post them up. I need to do more though. I mean, obviously, I'm trying to build my stream, but yet I don't do anything. I keep saying, "Oh, I gotta spend more time on my stream, doing the things that you need to do to make a stream grow," and then I don't do it. Don't get me wrong, I've done more lately than I have in the past, but certainly not as much as I should be doing. And I have to, when I'm trying to get in on these tiny little spots, it's so hard because it's like pinning individual strands of hair. And then I gotta go around the back and paint all the strands of hair in back. Now, I'm sure you're probably a more skilled painter. If you're doing 75 millimeter scale busts, you've probably you've probably got a lot more painting chops than I have. But I will say this. And thanks for stopping by. I mean, it's like I don't know. It's like what I don't know what people when I'm like I'll watch various people paint, and to me it's like I don't really even pay attention. I mean, other than a few people who do things like Miniac and Squidmar and those guys, I don't really pay attention much to learn. I just like to see get ideas, watch what people are doing, kind of see what kind of stuff they come up with. And yes, in my head I compare myself. Sadly, I rarely get a look at it and go, I can do that. But sometimes I look at it and say, oh, I can get pretty close to that. I think I mean, that's, anybody who says they don't compare their work to everybody they paint, everybody you watch, anybody who says that they don't compare their own personal work, if they do paint, uh, is lying. I'm telling you, they're comparing it in some way, shape, or form. If they know they're way better, then they just go, yeah, better than that. That's a comparison. Um, if even if they don't know, they're still like, I could probably do that, or that's that don't look too hard. They're making comparisons. They're trying to see what their skill can do compared to those people, and that's perfectly natural, of course. But I do it, and typically I lose. As in my comparisons say, yeah, you're not there, man. You haven't made that level of jump in skill yet, but maybe someday. Some pretty talented folks out there, though. And I will say, I think there are guys out there, guys, girls, whatever, out there that paint, and they paint a lot, and they're probably about the same level as me. You know, not everybody's an expert, but I just feel like the majority of people who stream are very good painters. And I would actually say that people of my skill level that are streaming are probably in the minority. And so my stream. What do you mean link friendly? Oh, can you put a link on my page? Yes. Uh, okay, for one, you can put it on my Discord, which I find to be better. I mean, because they're just this way they're all together. Because I'll lose it if it's on the stream. I mean, I might go look and I have to review the chat or whatever. But the chat itself will kind of complain a little bit. Um, the ch- it'll let you put one on there, but it might not get. It can get lost. But it'll say like, "Hey, don't do this." I think it lets you put like one or two up. Um, if you put it on my Discord, which I have a link to my Discord right there on my Twitch page, and then you can put them up on there. And I have like I think miniatures or whatever page that you can go to and just drop it on there. So, and you're more than welcome to add there. I'll go to your link. You don't have to put a picture. Just throw a link on Discord. But yeah, no, you can put links on there. This way they're centralized because it's always cool to be able to go check out things. If I put them in my chat, like I said, they'll just vanish once the stream's over and nobody's going back to it. The links become kind of pointless anyway. And I don't usually go back and look through chat sessions very often. So I might even forget that there's a link in the chat. Now I'd have to look now. See, like I'm not actually on my computer. I have my computers behind me. or not behind me, but it's to the right, the left of me, and I'm not like I don't have a mouse or anything right in front of me, so I can only see the links, and then it's not close. I guess I could put my mouse over here and try to manage it, but I don't usually do that because it is a wireless mouse, so theoretically, it's not that it's not possible. Just it's very challenging, I will say. Paint individual strands of hair while trying not to get all of the not get all the black everywhere, or get all the not let it puddle up. Or get it where it starts looking blurred. See, like I got that's how I managed. So you would probably be a better source of info than me if you're painting busts. How do you go about painting like hair and stuff like that? Yeah, asking questions like that's kind of tough on this kind of setup, right? Because then you can't just answer me. It becomes an what do you call it? A long chat. It becomes one of those things. Yeah. If somebody wants to explain it at all, they have to do it in text. So yeah, never mind. I won't burden you with that sharing your knowledge over text. Oh really? It does. I wonder if my link broke. I wonder if it's not showing it, so it just takes you to the root of Discord. Nobody's ever told me that before. I thought it went straight to my thing. I gotta change my. You know what it could be? I may have. Nobody ever told me, but you're right. Now I gotta look. I will fix that in just a second. I think what it is maybe I accidentally used an expiring. My Discord name is the same. It's Active Minds Gamer, and so everybody who's found me on there has apparently looked me up. It's like they go, "Oh, this link don't work. Here, well, let me just take you. Let me go look up Active Minds Gamer because that's me." And that's probably why it's not working. I probably accidentally used an expiring link or something. Well, thanks for telling me because nobody else has bothered to tell me that. I will fix it. Let me just. It's kind of tricky because I'm trying not to get it on. Yeah, you showed me one of your things before, I think, where you said you did non-metallic metal that you had, and I looked at it. It looked really good. But you said that people were kind of fooled by whether or not it was metal or not, or that it was non-metallic metal versus a metallic metal. And I was impressed. It looked good. Like I said, I've never actually done that yet. I have not pulled the trigger on attempting non-metallic metal yet. I think her hair's coming out pretty good. It's starting to have that mostly white with gray flecks. Still haven't figured out what I'm doing with the braids yet. I'm letting that wash around in my brain a little bit while I try to get the hair painted. But painting hair like this is a pain. I mean, it's not. It's painting though, right? It's the enjoyment of the task, of the process. It's not really. Certain tasks take longer, but it really doesn't matter to me. It's like I try not to let the time it takes be a factor. I'm just painting because I like to paint, right? I do like to get things done, but I'm rarely in a hurry. If I don't get a figure done, I don't get it done. That's why I'm. That's like I. That's why I'm not really a. Well, okay. So like I said before, my painting is typically comes out as table ready, but I put in more effort than typical table ready. Because I like to put more effort in. So my table ready is somewhere between that and it be it oftentimes comes out to be my version of contest ready, which is probably most people who do contests version of table ready. And I always thought, you know what, it takes me so long to paint. I could takes me a couple days to paint, but I've a lot of these guys I've heard that do these tournaments, they spend weeks, or at least many days of consistent painting on a character to for tournaments, contests. I like doing contests. I just wish I knew where more were. It's hard to find. Oh, really? So it forces you to log out to go to a link. Huh. That's another weird thing. I didn't know that. I wonder if it's because you said you're in Australia, right? I wonder if like there's an Australian server that when you're logged in, you're on that server, and then and then when you actually try to go to someone like on an American server, I thought you said you were in Australia, right? Or did I just read something wrong there? Oh, you joined Australian Discord. I assume that means you're in Australia. Unless you're just Australian and you want to hang out with fellow Australians, I don't know. But I'm thinking it could just be that you're on a different server. Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe because you were logged into Australian Discord that it you weren't couldn't get you to the American server. That's my guess, which wouldn't be unusual based on the way all that networking and server security and all that stuff works. It's kind of funny they say when you're painting you should paint away, and I am doing that right now, but I don't always paint away. I sometimes paint towards, which There are definite motions in the hand that are easier to accomplish. Less shaking, less affected by your hand muscles being weirded out. So yeah, you definitely something that takes a little learning. Everybody's different though, right? This will be fun. I'm trying not to get it on her clothes. Definitely starting to have more white in her hair. But she's not there because there's so many strands of hair. Painting individual strands of hair. That's always fun. Okay, cool. I'll take a look at those in a minute. When I go check my Discord link. I just want to finish her hair, kind of stay focused for a minute here. First things first. Hopefully my head's not getting in the screen. I've had that where I've been painting and I had the camera too far back. So when I'm leaning over my mini, my head starts popping into the screen. And I'm like, people get to see the top of my bald head. And I'm not sure not a lot of people come by to watch the top of people's bald head paint stuff. So, how long do you usually paint? I notice that, man, sometimes my back really starts to get tired for short periods of time, and I try to keep sitting up straight as best as I can, but I can't. Sometimes it's just a lot. So you can kind of see the areas I've left are some braids. She's got like two or three big old braids, and I don't know what color to paint those. I kind of wanted to be something different, like really gray or black maybe. I don't know how best to approach that. Okay, let's go check out your Discord while I let my back stretch a bit. You paint in bursts? Yeah, it's kind of what I'm doing. It's like today I painted for a little while, a couple hours, and then you gotta stop and stretch and just kind of reposition, get the head back and the shoulders back. All right, let me see what you got here. Let's see here. Discord. Anyway, you probably can't hear me right now because I'm way over here. Mike's way over there. Let's see, miniatures. Huh. Very nice. Very nice. That's wow. Impressive. Kind of looks like a gorilla. I mean, he has that kind of gorilla look. Other than the skin tone is not that really of a gorilla. He's got the skin tone of a troll, but he has that gorilla kind of face. Um, but very nice. Wow, you do some great work. The eyes are very realistic, and that's the thing is about people who can do busts like you. You're like yourself. It's just amazing how well the tones you guys are able to come up with. You get the skin, the eyes, the shading is all really good there. You did a really good job on the cloth too. The cloth is very nice. Yeah, I'm impressed. Good work. Uh, yeah, that's not much else I can say there though. But that's why I keep my stuff small. The imperfections are a lot less obvious, but yours, you don't have many there. I mean, I could tell. Obviously, you have one eye to go. I saw that one eye. Either that, he's blind in the other eye. I don't know. It does kind of have that gray, smoky eye look, but I'm assuming the other eye is still one in progress. But the one that was near done there looked really good. Trying to decide what kind of base should be on her. She's got skulls on the ground, but obviously can't paint those until I do the base. So do I go with like a? It's kind of a stringy ground, so I guess that would be more like a. Uh, let's go with a dark base, like mud, dark brown, maybe even a walnut brown, mahogany brown. I guess would work too, because I have a mahogany brown here. And then maybe I can do some lighter color on the top. Dry brush it with some light brown or something. Ah, okay. So then it does look, it looks exactly like that, because I was saying, well, if it ain't finished, then he's blind, because it does have that blind appearance. So good job. Yeah, if it was me, I'd go for blind, and somebody would go, "Why didn't you paint that eye?" They wouldn't even think it was blind. It's like, what do you mean? It's finished, man. It's yours. The first thing I thought of is he's either blind or you based it with a gray. So yeah, it looks good though. Thumbs up, man. So I got a guy texting me. His name, his Discord name is San Michel, or I don't know if it's Michelle. It's spelled a little different. If I It might be Mikhail, like Mikhail San Mikhail, like a Italian or something like that. Anyway, he's offering to help build up my site, my stream a little bit, and I told him, "Don't have any money, man. My stream don't make any money, and unfortunately, the only money I get to spend on my stream, the only money budgeted for my stream, is the money my stream makes, which right now is nothing." So I told him I can't really pay you. He says, "Well, I might have something I can do for you for free. Just let me know if that's all right." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm not going to turn away people who want to help me out. I appreciate it. I definitely want to grow my stream at some point. I got a what do you call it, Patreon, but I'm not big on trying to make sell it. I need to be more, because the whole point of doing this is so I can get the money I need to get the X cases out to people. Because I got a lot of people who been asking about them. When are you gonna have more? And I get questions all the time. When are you gonna have more in stock? Or when are you going to launch the Kickstarter? Because a lot of those people know that I'm planning to launch a Kickstarter to get more cases made. The bigger cases, the inserts, all that fun stuff. But I haven't launched it yet. Now, right now, in my head, I want to launch it like next June. That's the current plan. And the problem is, you launch a Kickstarter, even if it's successful, which in this case is going to be a long shot because it's pretty big, and I'm not one of those, big companies that makes a boatload every time they launch a Kickstarter. But if it succeeds, it's still going to take at least. I got to get all the final estimates. I won't be doing that until I get closer to the launch date, but it's probably going to take at least a year to get product. Get the Kickstarter stuff. That's just how long it takes anything anymore. The manufacturing and all the bits and parts. You got it. Plus, there's a lot of back and forth while you're getting the basic units made, and there's a couple of updates that need to be done to the tool, and uh, plus they're working out the plus part of it is working out the logistics of using the different material I'm going to be using, which can slow down production some, which also means the cost goes up, but that's all part of that'll be all calculated. So don't worry, all the Kickstarter stuff will be accounting for all that. So, but also this Kickstarter is actually one to try to keep the thing going. In other words, I'm going to make enough that if I sell out of them this time, I'll have enough to make more. Last time I made just enough that says just pay off all the costs, and it did. Paid them all off, sold everything out, but then I had nothing left to make more. But there's a little bit of paranoia there when you're making a product like that. It's like, what if you don't sell them, man? Well, I sold them. Sold them 100%. Now I'm trying to make enough that I can continue to make them. So I've got a spreadsheet that helps me calculate all this stuff. I built this spreadsheet years ago, and I didn't even use it the last few times because I didn't think I was going to make that many. So I'm going to be doing this different this time, but it also means, plus the big unit, the big X case that's supposed to hold bigger units and way bigger units, and also be able to hold, do all the shelves and all of the bits and parts required for that. Those are expensive. Not the shelves. The tool for the big unit is really expensive. It's going to be cool though. It's going to be fun to have that. So a lot of people asking for it. Now, granted, things have quieted down with requests because eventually people go, they're not out there no more. But I do post on my Facebook every now and say, all right, guys, don't worry, I'm still here. We're still working on it. It's just, with a $0 marketing budget, marketing can be a little challenging. So I'm trying to work around that one small obstacle. I actually had a guy contact me the other day. He says, are you sure you don't have any X cases left? I go, no, I am pretty much out of everything, but I've got a couple miscellaneous ones, just, whatever. He says, okay, I'll buy them. And I'm like, okay. He didn't buy, he bought the miscellaneous ones that I had that were like black and clear, I think, are the ones he bought. And so I sold him those, and then I still have a few white ones. When I say a few, I'm talking about less than 10. So, and I figured, well, I'm not promoting them because 10 units doesn't do me any good, and all I end up doing is end up getting people to say, hey, I want to order. It's like, oh, nope, last guy bought them all. So I don't want to get into that situation, telling people that, we have them all, and then we don't. Now, we do have mage cages left, which I haven't been promoting because I haven't been promoting the X case. I should, and what I'm going to do this Christmas is I'm actually going to, I don't know, did you see the lit case that I have? I actually put lights in some mage cages, and I think there's some X cases there too, but it allows you to have the X cases in a well-lit, very cool display. There, let me show it to you. I don't know, can I show it to you? Do I have a good way to show this on camera? It's something I'm going to put up on my site soon. I have a picture. Where did I post the picture at? I don't even remember where I posted it. Probably on Instagram. But they look pretty awesome with lights in them. They have LEDs on the doors, and then all your minis inside are fully visible. And this particular case is set up for transportation, so you can close it up, put a handle on it, walk away. And I have a battery that fits inside of one of the mage cages, so or X cases, whatever, both. um, and therefore you can plug it in and carry it around. And if you do, it's almost like a lantern. You can walk around, and this thing just shines light because it's bright enough that you can see all the minis in it. I went to a convention, and I have this at my convention, or in my booth. And but when the convention's over for the day, I pack it up. I put the battery inside the case, and then I leave the lights on, and I'll walk around. And everywhere I go, people are like, "Ooh, those are really cool minis." It's like, "Oh, that's the way that's lit up," and it's like, yeah, so I'm going to be selling them pre with lights pre-installed for the holidays. I don't do this year round. I mean, I can, but I don't just because I need a promotion period. Why do you promotion period? Just a time frame where people can actually feel like it's a special thing. Um, I need to put them up on my. Actually, I'm not. My website is no longer taking orders. That's because I turned off my credit card service because I only get small orders every now and then, and the amount I was paying for credit card service was more than the cost of I was making. I mean, I'd make any sale would pay for it almost, but it only paid for the month, and then I'd have it for 11 more months. So if I only get 1 or 2 sales a month, it wasn't worth having the credit card service. So I'm trying to set up like one of those online stores where or if you're under a certain dollar amount, you're not paying except for when you make sales. You have to pay a percentage of every sale, which is fine. That's standard fare. But at least then I can not have to contend with the constant constant fees. This is all about trying to cut back and save that money so that when I launch my Kickstarter, I'm already, I'm not like building up debt. You don't. It's the last thing you need is debt out the door, right? So don't come in with debt. Sure, there's certain things have to be made up. That's how it works. But I think last time I made, what do we end up making? I think I made, I want to say about 2,500 units of cases. Sold them all out almost within like 2 months, 3 months. All the clear ones, I think I had like 2,000 clear ones. Those sold out like instantly. Those are the ones that were gone fast. I only made a few hundred beyond the Kickstarter though, so they sold out really fast. And then I had other colors, but those all sold down within a couple months. And then I just had the primary. I just really only had white and a few miscellaneous left, and white and black are the two other colors. To me, white are the best. If it's not clear, then the white ones are the best. The problem with the clear ones though is they were not as durable as the other colors, and I didn't know this until they told me after I had made the production. I go, yeah, well, clear is naturally less durable because it's more pure. And I'm going, oh, okay, that would have been a good fact to know before I made them. Nobody really complained. They are fairly resilient regardless, but the problem is, not everybody does complain. So people are having problems with something. They don't always tell you. And that's part of the thing. You don't want people to be like secretly stewing, hey, I bought these things and they're breaking on me. They don't break. Okay, so the case, if you drop the case, it isn't going to break. I mean, you're fine there, but, or, like your stuff ain't going to fall out. The doors are removable, so yes, if you drop them on something hard, the door might come off, but you can just pop the door back on. That's not like it's broken. Again, you're using magnets, so magnets under high impact will generally drop whatever they're holding, at least, whatever. So there's always that risk. These aren't like the foam cases, which can, you could throw it across the room and it'll bounce off the floor and your minis are going to all stay in place. It's not like that. These are for like transport. Put them in your case, walk around, whatever the case, they'll stay in place for that. Put them in your car, boom, you're good. Nothing's going to fall out. Take them to the game store, flip them open, see all your stuff, grab the ones you need, put them on the table, snap it back together when you go home, and off you go. These are for that kind of usefulness. But if you're gonna go to like a convention over where you have to travel, the foam ones are probably good if you think you need to give you don't want to be carrying your minis around. So if you want to give your stuff to the baggage handlers or the baggage machines, um, use the foam cases. I mean, you're not going to do any better than that. But these cases, you can configure them into a carry-on, and that's what I do. I have one case that's got a variety of travel paints. Like I got a good variety of a little bit of everything, blah blah blah. It holds about 36 bottles. I can use half a case on the carry-on. The other ones I put in a big quart or a big freezer bag and throw it in my suitcase. Um, the other half I leave in the case, and with some of my mini paint palettes, which are basically these little homemade thingies. I put two of those in there, ready to go for painting. I throw in my little travel bottles of water, paint brushes, stole them in one of the cases. So I've got paints, paintbrushes and stuff. Then I try to put LED lights on them so that if I need to stop, I can turn on my battery and have lighting. And then one of the other cases will have you can do 4 to 6 cases as a carry-on. Now, I usually only go 2 high, so it'd be like 2, 4, 6. Okay. You might even be able to do an 8. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8. I would probably go 6. It's probably best. Plus, you don't want to carry around too much weight anyway. You're in an airport. And oh yeah, no, it's great. I can if I go to the airport, you know how you have to get to the airport like 2 hours early or 3 hours early. They say give yourself lots of time. So I bring my case in. And since it's carry-on, I have my backpack as my personal item, so it has like my computer and whatever other little things I feel like I need to have with me. And it's my computer's just a tablet. It's a Surface, so it works great. And it's actually what I use to have the demo video going on my convention table. So I put that on my back, and then I have my case. So I set it up on a table or on the floor or whatever, and it's tall enough. I can reconfigure it to be a little taller if I want to, but I'll set it up where it's just like right in front of me, so it's about this high. I'll put like my paint bottle, my paints, and one of these little lights that's inside the case. I'll pop it out, set it up next to me, and off I go. I can paint for the next 2 hours or hour and a half while I'm waiting for the plane to take off. Or once we get down, hey, we're going to start boarding, I can just put everything away, put it in the case, snap it together, put it inside. So the case travels with me in my hands, and I can put it up on the airport overheads because that height, that size fits inside. It's within the rules of airlines, except for those that have shrank their sizes. But generally, I can carry it around with me, and I've never had anybody complain or anything, except the one time that I actually made the mistake of taking a full case full of bottles, and the what do you call it, TSA folks or jerks, guy goes, "You can't have that many small bottles of liquid. You got to get rid of some of those," and he wouldn't let me touch them. He wouldn't let me touch them, so he pulls them all out, and I go, wait, can I at least pick which paints? And I went to reach to touch the paints to take which ones I wanted to keep, because he was going to make me throw them. I had nowhere to put a bunch of bottles of paint. I wasn't allowed to carry them anymore, so it was like, so it holds 36 bottles of paint, so I lost about 18 bottles of paint. So basically, he had a quart bag. It's one of those little quart freezer bags, and I had a point at the ones I wanted, and he just threw them in this quart freezer bag. And so I was like, okay, I want that one and that one and that one, and he just threw them in the bag. And once they didn't fit no more, the rest of them had to go. And being not a huge mental fan of green and brown, I lost a lot of greens and browns. I got rid of a lot of colors that I was trying to pick the colors that my mind was saying I like more, which is probably a mistake. So I spent some time buying replacement paints over the next. So now I know I take a quart freezer bag and I fill it up with paints, and then I can put those inside of one of my cases, which is almost exactly 18 bottles of paint. It fills up a case almost exactly halfway, and then that's when I put my paint palettes in and stuff. But with that, it's really cool though, because most of the TSA people I've encountered over the years are really cool about it. They're looking at the minis. They know these are paints. they're checking them out. They go, oh, that is a really cool, case. Those are cool minis that you got in there. And it's like, yeah, yeah, thanks. And so yeah, that's how I travel when I'm traveling about. Doing my bit, man. Let's see here. So, what is werewolf brown? Yeah, let's use that. No, somebody told me that these paints are actually not very good at blending with other paints. But I'm just using it as an overcoat anyway. This is, so I don't know if you use scale 75, but these are scale 75 paints. Do I think they're good? You know what? I'm just not enough of a connoisseur. The things I look for in paints, it's like I don't look at paints and go, oh, that paint's just so much better than the rest. There are paints I definitely don't like. I mean, Vallejo has a white paint that is just a pain in the rear to get right. You can't get the right texture, the thickness. It just doesn't. But you know what? There really aren't that many great whites. I've used a few different brands, and finding one that just has that flow that other paints might is really hard to do. I've struggled to find paints I feel are a white paint. Now I have been using this white ink by Vallejo. It's one of their game color inks, and it's really pretty good. That one I think is the one I'm using the most now. Now whites, now the problem is obviously if you're using an ink, you have to put lots of coats on, but it does seem to be better at not leaving like brush strokes, stuff like that. That's the biggest thing for me, is just being able to get them to the right consistency that you like. Sometimes you can run into issues where a paint just seems to, like I listen to what people say when they're reviewing the paints. What do they like about them? Like Squidmar did a huge review and stuff, and he really likes Vallejo paints, and I do too. I have tons of Vallejo, lots of Vallejo paints, lots of Reaper paints. Starting to have a lot more Army Painter paints. Mostly the recent what do you call it? Their speed paints. Got a lot of those. And so I do like. A lot of people have said they don't. Well, a few people have said they don't like the new Vallejo speed paints. I like them. So I don't know why. I mean, again, but sometimes some paints I just don't see in general what's wrong with some paints. Some people say, "Oh, those paints are cheap," or "Those paints are no good," or I don't know. I mean, what is the determining factor for a good paint other than does it come off your brush? I guess some people say some of them dry kind of fast. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard for me to tell what makes a paint good. Is it that you can't find the colors you want? Now that's one of the problems with the Vallejo speed paints. One of the complaints is that there's just not enough of them. Now I think that's because they just came out with their first set last Christmas. Theoretically, that means they're going to come out with more. I mean, these companies are always coming out with more stuff, right? It's just how it works. They keep coming out with more stuff, so you keep buying their stuff. Yeah, it probably takes a while to formulate paints too. I mean, you're changing your change your formula. Probably takes a while. Plus you want to get it right. You want it something that people are going to want to buy. You have all those connoisseurs out there. Maybe not me. I might just say, "Oh, it's Vallejo. Vallejo makes good paints. I'll buy it." Other people are like, "Nope, I'm gonna buy one and do this massive test on it, and then if you don't pass my test, I'm gonna tell the world." And so yeah, Vallejo's got to look out for those people. The ones that are like gonna make you break you with their reviews and stuff. So hopefully they'll come out with more of them. I will definitely probably buy their their other ones. Got to paint those skulls on the ground. Yeah, well, that's one thing too. Reaper has, well, a lot of companies now are all doing dropper bottles. So, unless you're Games Workshop, who I think the only reason they don't do dropper bottles is because they don't want to feel like, hey, we're Games Workshop. We don't need to follow everybody else. Even though everybody says do it, do it, do it, they're like, no, we're not going to do it. We're Games Workshop. I think that's the only reason they're doing it. To be honest, I think they know they need to switch. They need to switch to the dropper bottles, but it's like that we're the leader. We're the boss company. We don't follow those lesser people. That's what I think their mentality is. Because if your customers are saying, everybody's saying do this. Okay, well, all right. There are 10% of Games Workshop people say they like those pots. I bet you though, I'll bet money that all those people say they like the pots. If Games Workshop ever switched to dropper bottles, you'd never hear a complaint. Nobody would complain. I've heard people say, you shouldn't switch to the dropper bottles because the lids can pop, the plugs will pop off if you squeeze them too hard. Okay, here's the deal, people. You know how to make sure you know how to make sure that doesn't happen? If it's hard, if you go down to drop a drop and it doesn't come out just minimal pressure, get out your freaking paper clip and poke the hole. Look, don't keep squeezing until the paint comes out. If it blows up on you because you're squeezing until that lid pops off, dude, come on. Look, that happened to me once. But and it should, it might happen to everybody once. But they say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3, 4, and 5, or 6 times, slap myself. you know, just fix the problem. Clear the hole on your thing. If it's not coming out, take a paper clip, cram that puppy in there nice and good, clean it out, and you're good to go. Don't blame dropper bottles because you're too lazy to unplug the hole on your on your dropper bottle. That's probably true. They look tiny. Look, it's pretty close though, I think, to the amount of paint you get in. Okay, so all right, so here, I bought some dropper bottles, and this is Games Workshop paint, and I just what's cool about it is the labels on their bottles peel off really easy. They're these plastic labels, and you can peel them off and just put them on the new bottle, and so you can see this is it's a smaller bottle, not so yes, they are a little tinier. But at the same time, I'm not completely sure that um, even though these are bigger, do these actually show the ounces on them? No, it probably does, but it's all in this mess here. It does somewhere, but it's hard to read it because I have it all overlapping here. I don't know how many ounces are in there, but because they tell you how many. This is 17 milliliters. I don't know how much that one has. I can't tell. But yeah, I don't have any Citadel paints right now that are in. I have Citadel technical paints. How much does that one have in it? 12 milliliters. So yeah, these are about 5 milliliters smaller than the majority of other people's paints. Ooh. So speed paints are 18 milliliters. Vallejo is 17 milliliters. Scale 75 is 17 milliliters. So they're 17 to 18 milliliters in Vallejo, and pretty much everybody else, that's 18, yeah. So, and theirs are only 12. So they give you 12 milliliters of liquid, which is what? That's a good, what, 25% smaller? Is that right? Yeah, that's a good 25% less paint in a Citadel bottle than you're getting in almost anybody else's dropper bottles. And that's why you can put all the Citadel paint in smaller dropper bottles. But you're right. So they charge you more and give you less. But you know what? People are transferring them to dropper bottles. A lot of people are doing it anyway. Uh, so yeah, that's what I say. That's a good. That's actually 30%. 18 to 12. That's a 30% less uh, paint. That's a lot less paint. And what, Vallejo charges you what, maybe $3 a bottle, something like that. And Citadel's close to 5, depending on where you are. Of course, you know, Australian dollars and I don't know. You know, depends on how much they charge at each location. But ultimately, it's going to vary by location. But it's going to be the same. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be the same disproportionate amount. You're getting less paint for more money. So unless you're just a die-hard Games Workshop person, but my thought is the paints don't change. They're not that much better. In fact, if you watch Squidmar, one of the guys I was talking about earlier, they did a paint review of all bunch of paint lines, every paint I own at least, as far as brands, and then a bunch of other brands. A lot of them I've heard of, but I haven't tried them all. And interestingly enough, everybody, you know, they liked Games Workshop paints. They said they were good paints, blah 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 blah. But they did this big like bracket contest, and I think they did, I want to say at least 30 or something brands, maybe more. And him and his buddy, they went through, they tested every single paint, walked all the way through, and decided what they liked about it and what they didn't. Now, they included cost in part of their calculations as to what they liked and what they didn't like. And that affected Citadel quite a bit. Ultimately, though, Citadel still came pretty close to the top. The top brands that they liked, Vallejo and Reaper. The top two brands were Vallejo and Reaper. Citadel came in third. And Citadel's biggest knock against them was their price, because they're crazy. So the two most common ones I have are, I've heard of Matisse. I don't remember if they did Matisse or not. I don't know how Matisse came into the thing. Some of them got knocked for variety in the brand. So Vallejo and Reaper will never get knocked for their variety. They've got massive numbers of paints. The only thing Vallejo doesn't have a lot of yet are the Express colors, which just came out last year. And I think they've only got one set, but I think they have more coming. I do have these game color inks, which I think are a new thing for them. They've done game colors for a long time, but I don't know if they have. This is a game color ink, and then this is game ink. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a rebranding of the paint. But I'm always buying new whites. I'm trying everybody's white. So far, this is my favorite white. Is the Vallejo ink. It just seems to be the smoothest one, the least bad. Some colors, their white isn't even white. It's not like fully white. Like the Army Painter one is kind of white. It's mostly white, but I don't know. I'm getting way off topic. I mean, way off. Well, I mean, I'm on topic, but off track. It's supposed to be painting. I'm not gonna get any painting done talking all day, but yeah, it comes right down to it. I don't think there's enough. I don't think Citadel is as good as um, they think they are, and I don't think they're worthy of the right to charge so much, or that they're better and they're so good that they can do whatever they want with their paint bottles. They wanna sell you, give people what they want. If people like them enough, they're willing to pay $5. At least give them decent paint bottles and start. You know what? You know what would be smart of them? Start marketing their differences, or even market them. Just do the marketing. Okay, this is means nothing to the in reality, but just start selling them as premium paints or premier paints, or give them that name that says these are more expensive. I know it means nothing. Most people are not going to fall for that nonsense, but ultimately, give yourself a reason to cost. Give a logical reason to cost more. It's marketing 101, man. You say you're premium, people are going to go, "Oh, premium." And you will make sales by just saying, stop saying, "Hey, we're Games Workshop, buy our paints because we're Games Workshop." People aren't going to fall for that anymore. I have a feeling their paint sales have gone down significantly because there's enough good paints out there. You don't need to be paying extra money. There are still die-hard Games Workshop people out there, and I don't, you know, it's not like they're out of business. What are they saying? There's like, I read somewhere they were making like, was it 100 million, or they make some crazy amount of money every year. Or their company is really high valued. So my thought was, if I could truly do marketing, um, I wanted 1% of all of the miniature storage market. 1% of all the miniature storage market. That's all I wanted with my cases. And at first I looked like, hey, you know what, this might happen. But because of my poor uh, confidence, I had this confidence that I could hit 1%, but I didn't have the money to back it up. I couldn't make enough units to keep that going and do the marketing that would require for that to happen. But I sold through the very first production run I did of the X case or Mage Cage, very first ones, was I made almost 9,000 units. I made 8,800 units, and I think it took me 3 years to sell them all out. They were gone, and well, almost gone. I still have a few of those original cases. I made more because they were getting really low. So I went out and out of my own pocket because I didn't. Kickstarter wasn't quite a thing yet. I made another. I made the first version of the X case, and then I made. And then I made 8. How many did I make that time? I only made like 2,500 units, but I made more Mage Cages. Obviously, made more colors, more variety. I made some updates. Made the doors better, more solid. I mean, just learn from experience of how these things actually worked in the wild. And so I made improvements to the cases, and then I made the first version of the X case, the first iteration, which is the cases that don't have the ribs in the middle. And then I think that's also when I started doing the inserts for them to give them magnetic bases and do more with them so that they could actually hold. Because when I made the X case, I knew that people were going to have a way to hold them in. See, Mage Cages have a built-in mechanism for holding like a lot of minis. They have the ribs on the inside that you would use to hold your minis. And it didn't work well for these kind of painted minis because if you put basing and stuff on, those ribs could, grab and rub off the paint. So you needed a way that was less physical. And so I came up with the magnets because I figured those would be the best way to provide that functionality. Um, so I did the magnets, found a company, got them produced and cut and the way I wanted them. And I said, well, we got to give them a way to put it on the magnet. So I looked into how I could do that, and I looked at there's a couple of good ways to do it, but I couldn't figure out how to get pre-made discs, metal discs. I know there's a way. I'm going to probably try to find those at some point. But right now, you got the flex iron, which is cheaper anyway. So I'm using the flex iron you can cut, and it holds minis on there great. Now, the only advantage of using the metal, there's two reasons why I would like to get metal discs, pre-cut metal discs. Now, they'd have to be pre-cut because unlike the flex iron, you won't be able to, reshape the metal discs. They are going to go on your guy, and they're going to fit exactly like that. So I need to get them cut to the common sizes so that they don't have overlap. And then you attach your pieces to those. You glue them onto your guys. Now they're going to be washers or discs, so they may even be able to go inside. So I gotta work out how that's gonna play out. But I want to get some, try them out. I actually have a little disc sample that I had that I wanted to see if I can get made. But ultimately, it comes down to you have all these different things. So I got those. I made 2,500 of them. Those took a little longer to sell because all I did was go to conventions. I did no real marketing, no ads, no nothing. But I sold those out in about another 2 years. So it was a little bit slower because it was a lot less units. But then everybody kept asking about making clear ones. They said it'd be really cool if these were clear. And I go, yeah, I'm looking into that, seeing what I can do. But it kind of got a little bit of steam, and I'm like, you know what? I says, are clear possible? Are clear possible? When I first did it, they weren't possible. I had asked about it. They didn't have the materials for it, and I kept doing some research, more research, and I found somebody who goes, yeah, we could do clear. I'm like, alrighty then, that's what I'm looking for. Right? So he said, got the price, and he said, yeah. So I decided to make clear, get some clear ones made. Got some samples. I'm going, these suckers are awesome. These look so cool. And there's so much, they're awesome. And so I said, yeah, I got to make those. So I says, but I don't have any more money on my own. Things are getting a little tight. I have 4 kids, that made things a little challenging to do. So I go, all right, let's do a Kickstarter. Kickstarter is now a thing. People are making money off of it. We'll see how it goes. First try, I tried to just whip it up, throw it up. Didn't work. It failed. It's because I knew I wasn't too confident in it, mostly because nobody knew what the heck I was. I mean, yeah, there was there was people out there who had heard of my cases, but I needed to do real marketing. So eventually I did a real marketing. I actually got some marketing help, got kind of a video made. Nothing cool like so many of the other Kickstarters have, but it was still something. And I did a few ads on Facebook. So yeah, I did a variety of different things. And of course, I'd let people know. I went to conventions and said, hey, we got a Kickstarter launching. I spent some money on just doing that. So yeah, I did a lot more. And I planned out. And this time I said, screw it, I'm putting money in it on my own. I'm gonna make it so that I pay the difference. If we make at least 6,000, I'll pay the difference. Because I figured I'll try to do a minimum order and just enough to get it made and get them out there and see what people think. So it was so I did a thing. Says, all right, if we make $6,000, these things are made. I hit 6,000 like in 2 days. And over the course of the next thing, I more than doubled it. I made like 15,000, and then we did the what do you call it? The pledge manager made another 6,000, so I ended up like 21,000. So I made a lot. I made plenty of units for everybody. Got the production done, but it was I had to pay for everybody. That's where the problem came in. I actually did not make enough to make more units. I did not have enough. I would have had to do the Kickstarter would have had to be closer to 40,000 or so, maybe 35,000 to make enough to do another production run. And could I have done it? No, not at that time. I could not have. I did not have the. It wasn't enough people. I would have needed to do obviously more marketing, more push for that. Uh, Maybe even have more products, more variations, that kind of thing. So ultimately, I kind of failed in that sense, but I got those cases, sold them all out way too fast, and I was like, uh-oh, did not plan for such popularity. People love the Cleric units. I love the clear units. I was like, man, these are awesome. Now, I use a lot of the white ones still. I mean, obviously, I know that uh, personally I use the white ones the most because, well, the thing is about clear is you don't really have to have lights most of the time. The black ones are nice on the outside, but dude, you need lights because they're really hard to see inside. Or a good light, you have to open them, let enough light in because you can't look through the door in the black cases very easily and find anything because there's just too much reflection. It's too dark inside. It just doesn't work very well. I know a lot of people like to buy the black cases. I sold a lot of black cases, maybe even almost as many as I sold white cases, because people like the look of the black ones. I also have blue cases. Now I use blue cases a lot because I'm a Broncos fan and a Superman fan, so I've got a number of cases on my wall back here that have a bunch of miniatures, Broncos stuff, and Superman stuff, and that's my big collectible display. So it's really cool. Um, and I put those up. If you want to see some of that, it's more than it used to be when I last took photos of it. But if you look at my Instagram on Actominds Games Instagram, you can see how several of the displays and stuff that I've made that you can make with with the X case, and how they hang up on the walls and all that stuff. So yeah, they are very, very flexible. All right, so what do you think? Her hair is coming out pretty good, starting to be there. And if I can get her body done, and get her whole inner section here done, she'll be looking pretty close. I mean, obviously I got to get her boots and pants. I mean, there's a lot of little things, but she's making progress. But I do have to drink something right now. I'm getting really thirsty. What time is it? It's 4 o'clock. Ooga. I actually, I thought about doing a giveaway of some X cases, mage cages, that kind of thing. But I just don't think I have enough followers on my stream to really promote that. I mean, I'd like to be able to do something significant. Put some lights in it, do a whole case. But when you only have 100 followers and like 3 of them show up at any given time, there's no synergy there. So at some point, a lot of these streamers, they get to the point where they have what do you call it, critical mass, where there's enough people out there to feed off of each other as far as popularity goes. So if you announce a giveaway or something like that, those people tell other people who tell other people who all come to the site, and it helps grow your site. But when you only have 2 or 3 or 4 people that stop by at any given time, a third of those or a quarter of those or half of those won't even see the thing. And so now you're trying to build any kind of momentum or synergy off of it, off of 1 or 2 people who might see it. And that's not the kind of critical mass you need to actually have a successful giveaway. So you need to do promotions and stuff like that. And again, that comes down to money. Get it in front of people's eyes, let people see. And So yeah, it's tough. That's tough. This is why so many. That's why I'm always impressed by all these very successful streamers out there, because I know they're putting in the work and they're also putting in money. I mean, granted, once you get to a point of growth, we have enough followers and subscribers, you've got it kind of feeding itself, right? It's kind of like the point at which my business was running. When I had cases, I had no bills related to my business. The, I mean, personally, I never had to pay anything for it because I was at that point where it was selling its own product and paying for itself. So it just kind of took care of itself. But it wasn't enough to grow because I didn't have enough product. So that's kind of how it goes with almost any business, right? If it's a super popular product, you might grow some and do a little bit, but usually you need more than one product. You know, nobody made a bajillion dollars off of one T-shirt. They might have 50 T-shirts or 100 T-shirts. You know, a T-shirt salesperson doesn't succeed off of one T-shirt. They succeed off of a bunch of different T-shirts, and maybe they throw in some socks and pants and stuff, and they start growing. They start adding products. Same goes for almost any toy manufacturer and anything. I had one product. I had the X case or Mage cage. Then I had the X case. Then I had magnets and I had magnetic inserts, and I had all the flex iron and the ID rings that I took over from another guy. And then it was starting to get some synergy going. But again, not enough of the root product, which one of the nice things about the X case is that it's expandable. This is a growing product. This is something, unlike a board game, somebody buys it, they don't buy it again. They're done. They need to know what your next product is. They may like your game, they want to know what your next game is. So you have to come up with another product, another product, another product. Games, there's even evergreen products don't usually go more than one product, more than one to a person. Even a, it just has, it's just so popular that there's a lot of people who haven't seen it yet, and it's growing by those people coming into the market, and maybe eventually their kids and whatever else all get their own version of the game, because now it's an evergreen product. Everybody knows about it. Everybody wants it. That's a great product to have, and it can keep things sustained. Those are the products that keep the business flowing. But you want to grow and succeed and add more and more and more. I got to start coming out with my games. I have like 4 games I've designed, but I know nothing about art. They're great games. They function good. I created one called the Puzzle Exchange. We've played it. It's fun as heck, but I need artists, and I've already quoted how much it would cost, and it's perfectly manufacturable. I could get that thing done and produced out the door within a year. And I wanted to run a Kickstarter for it, but again, I don't have the art. Working with artists is a pain in the rear. I've done it. It's hard as heck. People flake out on you all the time. I asked some people for an image. It takes 3 months, and then they maybe not get it to you at all, and you paid for half of it. So it's like, nope, that's too hard. I need to get somebody who knows how to do that stuff, who's willing to deal with all of those artists that are a pain. Graphic design, that's just not my thing. It's a artistic skill, takes time. You need to know the tools you're working with, and it's just I can visualize how I want it laid out, but how it looks beyond that, I can't. I'm very technical, very organized, very capable of coming up with functional stuff that's really cool, really fun to work with. But once you start looking at it, I'm very bland. I mean, you can see my paint jobs. I don't do NMM. I don't do the high fancy skin stuff. It's a level of skill, innate ability. It's just not mine. My ability is in the creation of function, function over form, that kind of thing. So the stuff I come out with, I came out with a game that's I think it's great. It's a football game that plays like real NFL. It's fun as heck to play. There's one bug in it or one thing I haven't quite figured out yet, and that's how to make the game take less than an hour. Now, football games don't usually take less than an hour. I mean, really, they are hour-long games that are usually 3 hours long. And this game plays a lot like an actual game, but the problem is each play to me is a little long. A play might take a minute and a half to 2 minutes, and that's too long. I mean, an NFL play takes 40 seconds, and the reason they're 3 hours long is because all the breaks and commercials and stoppages. Now, you won't be doing that when you're playing the game. I need to get those plays down to where they're faster, more concise, to where like less than a minute per play. If I could do that, I think I can set it up where the game will end within an hour. But all the other functionality of the game is really cool. The way the plays interact, the way the penalties can happen, the way everything. I mean, I'm proud of the way this game came out, and I'm really looking forward to getting it out there. It uses real NFL stats, so your players are built off of real players. I can't actually have real player names, sadly, but I do some things to kind of help it along to make it look like. I mean, it's decipherable. There's a way to know what players they are. I can't use real NFL names of teams, so I got to kind of fudge that too. But I came out with ways I think work pretty good. It's not them. It's not the actual things. Doesn't say it is, but I'm skirting around it so where smart people could figure out which teams are which teams are which players are which, and then you can actually buy those same players every year. So it's a game set up where if I can use their stats in every year, and that same player might be a more expensive, more rare card, or a more desired card on one year than they are in another, because maybe they had a bad year. But maybe they're cheaper because every player, their stats determine their dollar value for how you build your team, and obviously you need to have enough money on your team to build it. So if you buy a $9 million player, $20 million player, whatever it is, that's going to really hit your salary cap. Every team has a salary cap, what they're allowed to spend on their players every year, and it's based on the cards. So every card has its own salary value. So it's really a fun game. A friend of mine played it with me. We both really liked it, and it played just like you're playing a game. You run, you move up and down the field. It's not like so many of the football games that come out now. People like at first, but then they kind of die off. And this is one of the problems with them. They're not like playing real football. I'm talking NFL. I say NFL game because, for you, football is, you have Australian rules football, you have rugby, and I don't know, do you call soccer football or do you call soccer soccer? I don't know. And then, of course, if you're anywhere else in the world, football is soccer. Or soccer is football, or whatever you want, whatever the criteria is. But so anyway, I always have to say NFL, so everybody knows what I'm talking about if they're doing it. But it's really fun, and I would love to get it out there. I also have another game. See, I'm so off topic now, and this probably has nothing to do. You're probably like, yeah, get back to painting, whatever. But that's just, hey, that's what I talk about. And I get distracted enough that I stop what I'm doing completely, probably because of my back. I wanted to rest. Give my back some rest. One of the other games I have two other games. One of them is an adventure game where you're basically a fantasy. It's like fantasy. Actually, both of these other ones are based on like fantasy rules, like RPG role-playing kind of worlds, but they're not like a role-playing game. One of them is you've got this ever-changing map. Now, I'm not talking about just tiles. I'm talking about you are on a map that changes as you move into it and out of it. You can't like backtrack the same. You can't go forward, and there's different things on this, and it's made up of alternating tiles, alternating pieces. They're not tiles that can change depending on which direction you're going, and so that character. Then, have you ever played a game called Dungeon Siege? It was an old Microsoft game. It was awesome. It was great. And to me, it's like that is the way characters in fantasy should be built. It is like the ultimate best way to build a game, in my opinion. It's like that's the way I wish D&D worked. Okay, so here it is. Everybody starts off as 4 or 5 different very basic characters. There's slightly different basic skills, intelligence, wisdom, the classics, dexterity, that kind of stuff. But that's kind of where the similarities start to diverge, because you take those characters, and like Dungeon Siege, the way you built up your characters in that game, Dungeon Siege was a video game, by the way, is that you use skills to get better at skills. So if you wanted to be better at a melee combat, you would go fight with melee. You take a sword, you start smacking people with it. And the thing is, every weapon type could also get better. So theoretically the weapon doesn't get better, but you get better at that weapon type. So if you use a staff all the time, that's the staff class of weapon will get stronger. You will get better at using a staff. Not only will your character level up and get better and stronger, maybe some new skills and powers and stuff, but your weapon might not get more skills, so to speak, but you will become more efficient at it. You will become stronger simply because you're using that staff. So you could be a jack of all trades. You can have a sword and a crossbow and a staff, but you may never get great at any of them if you keep switching between everything. So you have to decide, am I going to switch weapons? Now, switching from one staff to another staff or another type of staff, like maybe you just switch to a halberd or something like that, which has got kind of same basic things. Then it's all the same class. It's a staff weapon. Like a sword, it could be anything. It could be a katana. It could be a full-on sword. Maybe if you use it as two hands, you might get two-handed sword skills or whatever you learn to carry around. So ultimately, you learn these skills, and you become better at that weapon. And there are enhancements and things in the game where you're using cards. It's kind of a deck building game where you're getting these cards that can now help you to build up your deck. Your life is your deck. So you're using that, as you're fighting, you take damage that comes out of your deck. Now, it doesn't kill you, but it goes into your discard pile. So you're getting weaker. So you can take a rest in the game, which basically means to put the cards back in your deck. So you're healing up. But, those short rests that you take or things that you might do in a D&D game to get health back, take a health potion, whatever like that, you get cards back and they put them back in your deck so they become usable again. And then while you're playing, you pull up those cards, and like certain characters, as you get better and better, you can hold more cards, more options, right? So you get smarter or you get better at fighting, you might be able to draw more cards from your deck that you can play. So as you level up, you can hold more cards. That's really what it is, and you're pulling more stuff in. But also at the same time, you need those cards in your deck. That's your health. So you're working through it. And there are ways to focus abilities, like you might use. Pop girl, K-pop girl skirmish to the death. That could be interesting. That's very interesting. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. I would like to. That might be kind of funny to play at least. But yeah, see these games, it's fun. I designed my first board game when I was about 19. A friend of mine and it was called All the Kingsmen. I actually created a board, and your goal was to take over these 4 castles on the corner. And as you move through the board, there were all these monster obstacles, and you have to defeat them. And as you defeated them, you'd build your army up bigger. And then when you got to the next castle, you would try to defeat it. You can play up to 4 players, or you can just go against the game. But anyway, I gotta call it, man. It's time for my wife wants to start planning dinner, so we're gonna do that. I'll probably watch a show. It's Saturday night, so I might be back again later, but it won't be for a few hours. Time for me to take an actual break, a longer break. And you have a good one, Zomcop. Thanks for stopping by. You gotta send, if you have your game, you gotta take a couple, just pictures of whatever you did. It'd be kind of cool to see what you did, and maybe I'll do the same. You have a good one. Till next time, take it easy.